Bonjour, madame and madame, monsieur and mademoiselle, even. Ah, how are you going? Scree here. I hope you're all well. Slightly tired and hungover, Scree, actually, today. Anyway, let's get to work. Test server's up, so let's have a bit of a look-see, see what new things we're getting. So, interestingly, not mentioned yet, Italian tanks. Yes, we got 2 premium Italian tanks coming to the game. 3.3, the Fiat Ansaldo Modelia P40 and the M26. Perishing. So, M26, we know that one. It's just an Italian variant. Not much different. Just different paint scheme, I think. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Just a bit of a different paint scheme. Everything else is very similar. However, the Liancello, there we go, is an Italian tank. So, you've got the 75mm Ansaldo gun. So, let's take this out for a quick test drive. We'll have a quick look at it first. Armor-wise, not terrible armor for rank 2. It's a pretty decent medium tank. It reminds me a bit of a Panther, but not as well made. It's all riveted hull armor, so it's very easy to break, basically. Speed doesn't look too bad. 4 crew members. The ammunition's down at the bottom. Whopping Gert engine in there, though. Massive. I think it's probably a Fiat engine in there. And of course the big ass front drive wheel as well. A pretty typical Italian tank. So let's see how an Italian tank goes in a test drive. Let's take it out to RB. Now, of course, the other big news is the French tech tree, of course. We'll get to that in a moment and have a look at it. I must say I am quite excited about the bombers. So, let's have a bit of a look at it. So, relatively nice looking tank. I'll turn down my desktop volume so you can actually hear me. There we go, that's probably better. So, not too bad for a rank 2 in all honesty. It's relatively slow. Let's fire downrange at the Churchill. Nice easy kill on the Churchill there. Centurion, let's see how we go there. 1200. Nice easy shot. Good reload time on this actually. And let's try far range. Probably miss this shot. Yep. So yeah. So all in all, it's a pretty good little vehicle. It's interesting that we're getting some Italian tanks now. It's nice to see. Let's fire a shot off at the Tortoise. Go way over it. Reload time's very good on it. And of course we have got a coaxial gun and a top-mounted machine gun as well. So this should be an interesting little tank to take out. As I said, it's almost like a miniature Panther. So let's head back to the hangar. It's a shame it's only premium tanks though at the moment. I don't know if we're getting some regular tech tree tanks soon, but it does look to be only premium. Let's just have a look at the modifications. So we've got a heat shell with 100mm of penetration and a armor-piercing ballistic cap with about 80mm of penetration at range. That's pretty good actually. As I say, for a 3.3 machine, this might be a good little tank. So that's some good news. So Italian tankers, we are getting some tanks. Let's have a little look down the aviation tree. Nothing new for planes in the Italian tech tree, so that's fine. Japan, I don't think there's anything new in the flying section, nope. But, hold on, let's try and do that again. We are getting the production, Ho reproduction. So, The Hori prototype is 6.0. The Hori production is 6.7. Better hull armor. It's not the model that I wanted, unfortunately. It's not the fun model with the twin 23mm on the back and the 75mm at the front. But it's got the 105mm. It's got better armor, so thicker armor on this tank, so that's good. This will be a very formidable tank destroyer. Very similar in looks, though, probably the same sort of gunnery. So I won't go into too much detail, but we are getting a new tank for the tank destroyer line. As I say, that 105 gun, well, it is slightly different because this is the prototype. Let's see. So 200 millimeters of penetration. What does the Hori production have? 230. Okay, so a bit better penetration value. And good muzzle velocity as well, actually. I don't know if that's the same. No, better muzzle velocity as well. Actually, let's just take this out for a very, very quick fire of the gun, just to see how that muzzle velocity's changed it. I know I'm teasing you guys, because I'm not going to the French tech tree yet. We will get there, though, don't worry. I'm not going to torture you too much. Okay. So, yeah, slightly shorter aiming area. Fluff that shot. Reload's not too bad. And makes a big boom as well. Same crew as the prototype as well. Yeah, this thing will be an absolute beast, a pure weapon. I'm looking forward to this. 6.7 is quite high, but in all honesty, the Hori prototype manages at 6.7 with no problem, so this will do fine. Even 7.7 tanks, you're going to obliterate things with that gun. It is such a good gun. Okay, on to Britain. Let's see, nothing new in that, in the ground line. Nothing new in the aviation line by the looks of it. Mother Russia. Anything new here? No, all looks pretty similar. All looks very samey there. Let's look at the army. And nothing obviously new there either. Okay, Germany, let's just do a quick check. Nothing jumping out as new. Oh, wait, yes, there is a new tank. The Belgian Panzer 57. There we go, new light tank for Germany. So, this is basically a self-propelled gun. You've got an ATGM on there as well. So, just a tow missile. And you've also got a 57 Bofors. Okay, interesting. That's an interesting looking tank. So, be an autocannon. So, there you go. So, a big autocannon with lots and lots of ammunition there. This thing is going to be a pretty interesting vehicle to take out. No armor. It's a light tank. Fast. Looks like it's going to be a fast vehicle. I can't take it out for a test drive, unfortunately. Armor, relatively non-existent, really, but what do you expect? It's kind of like a German PT-76, really. So the tow, 430mm penetration, and the... oh, okay. So you've got the 57mm got an armor-piercing cap ballistic shell with 140mm of penetration to it. Being that that's an autocannon as well, that's going to be interesting. You've also got a HE shell. Okay. Interesting vehicle. Where's the... rate of fire 200 shots per minute. and a reload rate of reload rate of 2.6 seconds. So I imagine it's going to be a bang, bang, bang with that. So a 57mm Bofors gun on there. That's going to be an interesting tank to see. I reckon that's going to be a flanking beast. That's going to cause some serious trouble, and it's a welcome addition to the German line because they need some more tanks in this end line. Okay, let's check. Oh wait, we didn't check aviation, did we? Let's just check the planes out. Anything obvious jumping out at me? Nothing obvious jumping out at me. Might have missed something, but there's nothing there that's too obvious for a new vehicle. Okay, on to America. Let's just check their aviation line. No, nothing new there. Don't think. No, the Cougar's in game, isn't it? I was having to think there for a second. So nothing overly new in those lines. Nothing exciting. Let's just check the army line. And nothing obvious in that either. Okay, so a couple of new tanks then for Japan, Italy, and Germany. But I know what you're all waiting for. Let's head to France. Vive la France. So, the French lines. Yes. Okay. Interestingly enough, there's quite a few American planes in there. It's not a big surprise, because, well, the French had a lot of American and British planes when they were in the what am I saying? While they were doing things. Oh, I've got that locked, haven't I? So we've got the bombers. So we've seen this one, the F222.2. Interesting looking plane. It's going to be pretty terrible. As you can see, it's basically made of paper. It's pretty much a World War I design. As you can see here, the traction surface controls are on big sticks for the pilot to use. 3 7.5mm machine guns. They're not going to do absolutely nothing. What's the payload? Pretty good payload, actually. What are the... French bombs have got a pretty good TNT load to them as well, so that's good to see. So, yeah, so... as I said, a lot of French planes are going to be pretty bad, I've got a feeling. So let's start off. So we've got the D373 as your starter planes. Just a basically a mono-wing, but based on a biplane, really. 7.5mm machine gun on both. You've got 4 machine guns. It's a pretty standard plane. The D500, which was a bit of more of a modern vehicle, it's still relatively old in its design. This is when biplanes were mainly in use, so being a monoplane, it was quite unique, but it's still very much based off of a biplane design, as you can see. Fixed landing gear, things like that. As I said, these things are going to be pretty awful. D501, which is an upgrade of the 500. The CR714, which is it's not a bad plane, but it's a bit underpowered, and it has very weak machine guns. The speed of it's not too bad because it is just so light. The engine is very weak, in all honesty, because they designed the plane to be light to go around a smaller power plant. The thing is, though, with these planes, you're going to get so many pilot snipes. As you can see, that there's no armor to them, and the pilot is so exposed in these things. Yeah, they're going to be pretty... I think French planes are going to be notorious for that. The 501, not really much difference to the 500. The NC2233, bomber. A rather pretty bomber, just an upgraded variant of the 2222. Slightly more modern design. You do have some 20mm Hispano cannons on this one though, so you have got some better defense. And as you can see, the ventral turret here, the belly turret here, is armed by a guy here, and he actually has an optics port. He doesn't look through there, if I recall correctly. He actually has like a little periscope to look through. With this one, it's not fixed gear, so it does raise its gear, which is good. So it does lower the drag. At this BR, having 20mm defensive cannons, this might be a pretty hard plane to kill. I can see this one being a pretty deadly opponent. Payload will be a little bit... No, actually, payload's pretty good still. So these bombers are going to be very good payload-wise, which is nice to see. So next up, we've got the attackers, the Pod 630 heavy fighter. If you saw my preview on possible French planes, this was in one of them. Basically, it's the French version of the BF-110. You have got 20mm. You've got the Hispanos on board, so you've got a rear-facing Hispano, I believe. Oh no, it's a 7.5. Sorry. So you have got the twin Hispanos at the front, and as you can see, they're a long-barrel Hispano, so the accuracy should be pretty good with these ones. And then you've just got a 7.5mm machine gun at the back. Now, the MACs are... I can't remember the fire rate of them. Who's got an MAC? I think everybody's got a darn on them, unfortunately. Another premium there, the D371HS9. As you can see, it has twin Hispanos on it. Interesting choice there. Quite a dorky looking plane, in all honesty, with the Hispanos at the top. But that could be quite a deadly opponent. You've only got 60 rounds though, so 30 rounds per gun. The Hispano weight on there is not going to make too much difference to the plane. The Palia D510, again, a variant of the D500, but you do have a Hispano on board with this one as well. I think it's through the nose. There we go, yeah, long-barreled Hispano through the engine block there, and then you've got twin Darn machine guns. I'm just trying to think how rapid firing those machine guns are. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, bomber, we've got the Pertz 6333, which is a variant of the 630, but it's just a dive bomber variant, I believe they had it as, but it's just pretty much a light bomber. Not a huge payload, obviously. Two 200-pounders, or two 250-kilogram bombs, sorry. Is it, or is it? Yeah, I think they're classed as 200-kilogram bombs. So not a very good payload, and very weak defensive weaponry. So similar to some of the Russian medium light bombers that you get. Okay, on to rank 2. So the MS-410. Some of the better fighters. Now these were sort of just coming into the war. Very short. One other thing about French fighters is they tend to be very small, which is quite good because they have a very small silhouette, so they are quite hard to hit. You've got the single 20mm Hispano and then the quad MAC machine guns on board. So the central 20mm is quite good and does help a lot in that respect. You have got some frontal armour with this plane and a rear headrest armour. The engine is not terrible, but it's not great. But because this plane weighs bugger all, it's going to be a relatively fast plane. It was quite a manoeuvrable plane as well. A lot of the French planes were sort of worked off of racing plane variants. The Pod 631, again, similar to the 630, another variant. This one, I believe, comes with rockets. No, I'm wrong. It has got a lot of weapons on board. Let's have a look, see at it. There we go. No, it's the guns I was thinking of there. So you've got 2 Hispanos, but you've got 6 MACs on board, as well as 1 in the rear. So pretty devastating ground attacker. This will be quite a good ground pounder. We'll have to see how the 7.5s hold up. Now the MB174A3, this is an interesting looking plane. It's a sort of, it's got a very big tail, basically, as you can see. Another sort of unique feature on French planes. No real armour on board other than the headrest. 3-man crew. You've got your bomber, pilot, and gunners. A few guns on board, which is good. So let's have a look-see here. I think you've got a couple of guns you can use yourself as well. So some guns in the wings, which is nice. Some offensive armament. And I think there is a gun. Whereabouts is it? There's the twin 7.5s. I thought there was a gun in the nose somewhere, but there might not be. No, I seem to be missing a gun. There is a gun somewhere in here. Ah, no, there it is. It's the bottom ones. That's what I'm thinking of. So the gunner has control of lower guns as well. So it is quite handy in that regard. Being a a medium bomber, you have got those ventral gun turrets as well. Bomb load, not a huge amount. 8 50-kilogram bombs, so nothing spectacular. But it'll be an interesting little bomber. Next up, we have the VG33C1. Now, this is a very pretty plane. Slightly longer. It almost looks like a... it kind of looks like a mix between the MC202 and the TA152s. Quite a long plane, good engine, good speed, low ammunition. Again, something that's very common. You've got the single Hispano in the nose, and then you've got the twin 7.5mm in the wing, or quad 7.5s in the wings. A little bit of armour to protect you from the back there, but the engine's going to soak up most of that for you. The engine, the Hispano Suiza 12-cylinder, decent power, but again, you know, it's more of a lightweight plane relying on a smaller engine, which again is quite typical of French design. Now the A35B, an American plane, I believe, is it? I'm trying to think now. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm thinking something else. No, it is an American plane. That's right. So just pretty much just a dive bomber, ground attacker. You've got 50 cows on board and a couple of bomb loads. Odd that the French get this before the Americans, of course. Bomber, we've got the Leo 451. Again, a plane I did mention. Now, this plane has got the 20mm at the back, so a nice big Hispano at the back. As you can see, the French Hispanos have got a longer barrel to them than most of the other in-game. So hopefully their accuracy should be relatively good. Nice modelling, actually. That's quite a pretty looking plane inside. Anyway, I won't go too in-depth with that. Relatively good medium bomber, one of the better medium bombers before the war. Quite an advanced plane. Okay payload, not a huge payload, but an okay payload to say the least. Some good defensive weaponry, but nothing major. You have got the gondola at the bottom here, which I believe is retractable. It can go up. But you've got the twin guns in that one, so you've got one at the front and one at the back, and you've also got your 20mm there. So yeah, it should be a nice little medium bomber, but it's not going to be anything spectacular. On to rank 3, so the D520. Oh, what am I doing? Preview, that's what I wanted. Well, we've already got this in game. Again, low ammunition Hispano at the front. Quad 7.5mm machine guns, small, lightweight, decent engine, not a terrible plane. The Duat 520 was pretty much outmatched by the German fighters in the war, but it wasn't a terrible plane. The Helldiver, we know what that is. We don't really need to worry about that. The MB162. Now this is a plane I'm actually quite excited for. Big 4-engine bomber. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. One of the great things about this is you've got a couple of 20mm at the back. So you should be able to take out a few. It's going to be very similar to the P8 for that defensive armament. You've also got the waist guns as well. As you can see, we've got the waist gunners there with the 7.5s. You've got your lower gunner here and top gunner with the Hispanos. Interestingly, no front guns to speak of. So that is an interesting little thing I've noticed on a lot of these French planes. They don't seem to worry about the front of the plane for the guns. But this thing is a big, big 4-engine bomber, and that's what I love in game. Very pretty plane, very cool plane, and has quite a good payload as well. Not great, but an okay payload. You get 4 500-kilogram bombs, and the explosive mass on those is 300 kilograms, so that should be a relatively good payload. Should be able to take out 2 bases without any problem. So a bit like the Condor, really. Much higher battle rating, but it's similar to the Condor. Okay, the MB157. Again, sort of an dated. It's very similar to the P26 in looks. It's a pretty plane. Very low ammunition though. You've only got the twin Hispanos. It's a pretty fast plane. It's not a bad plane. But again, it's typical French design. You have got some good front-on armor, so frontally you will be okay to do a hit with this plane. But the engine is going to be a bit of an iffy one. The Gnome Rhone engines they're good, but they are prone to overheating quite a lot. If you fly any of the Italian planes, you know what I mean. So it should be an okay plane. 3.7, yeah, it should be okay, but it's going to be outmatched by a fair few things. F6F5 Hellcat, F6FN 5N. Now we'll move down to some more French planes. So all in this line now for the sort of ground attackers, things like that. Well, the midline, which I always call the attacker line, but there's fighters, it seems to be overseas fighters more than anything. You've got the P-36 King Cobra, the F-8F Bearcat, and the Sky Raider, the 84NA. So, you know, we know those planes already, we won't go into any detail about them. We've also got the PB-4Y2 Privateer, which is a different variant of the PB-4Y. It's similar to where am I? I think we've actually got, because we've got the PB-42Y Privateer. It's basically the same plane as that. I forgot we had that in America. I forgot we got that introduced. So yeah, so we've got a Privateer in there, which sadly is not a great bomber. The French did have access to fortresses as well, so possibly get them in there. This was mainly used for the French Navy, as you can see with the Navy insignia on board. So I'm wondering if we will get anything interesting there. Nothing too different there, so just the general bombs. You've got enough to take out 2 bases basically, and that's about it. In all honesty, it's not a great plane. I've not had much luck with this thing. Yeah. It's interesting I haven't got the B-24 either, because again the French would have had access to that. Anyway, the VB-10C1. Now this is where we start getting into some fun planes. Contra-rotating blades, more ammunition for the Hispanos, which is nice. Uh, this thing's a bit like a Aerocobra, uh, but it has got two engines, I believe. So you got one at the front and one at the back. So this will be interesting because if one engine gets wrecked, you have got a second engine in the back. This plane has got a lot of torque, but it's not very fast. Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about it. It seems like it should be faster than it is. It's a relatively slow plane. Um, Maneuverability is not terrible, but it is quite a heavy plane as well with those twin engines in it. And the 1002, which is the upgraded version. Quad Hispanos, but you also get some Browning machine guns. This thing is going to be a beast head on. So you have got that frontal armor on there for the glass. As I said, because you've got those twin engines, one of your engines can get absolutely wrecked by the looks of it, and you'll probably be fine to get back to base. This thing is probably going to be the head-on flyer's choice of plane. It's a very cool plane, don't get me wrong, but yeah, in a turning fight, it's not going to do too well, basically, and it just lacks the speed. I'll get onto the SO 800 Naval in a moment. Let's have a look at the jets, because this is where it gets really interesting. The Orang, the MD 405 blah blah blah, one of the first French jets. It's sort of like a Sabre mixed with a Hunter. I think it's a sort of mix of all the different planes, basically, of the Allies. Quad 20mm, the M50 cannons. This thing is a really good little jet. It's going to be interesting to see it in action. It kind of looks like a MiG crossed with a Sabre crossed with a few other things, but it's a pretty damn good jet. And the MD452 dash blah 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 A. Again, this thing is relatively fast. It's a good platform and it's got good maneuverability as well. You've got the quad 20mm again. Slightly less ammunition than the standard, I think, than the prior version, but the cannons are all in line on the body, as you see. So no wing-mounted guns, so you've got everything directly in front of you. So this thing is going to be an absolute blast to play. The Barang, which is a slightly different variant of the Orang. So we've got some interesting floating tanks there. What are they? Looks like there are some big ass bombs or some big ass rockets, but you do get the rocket pods. So yeah, this thing is more of a ground attacker. The twin 1,000-pound bombs. Yeah, interesting. They're just floating in midair as you do. I'm wondering if not the rocket pods. I don't know what they are. I'm trying to think. They look like fuel tanks to me personally, but could be anything. But seeing they're just floating in midair, then we've got no idea what they are. So yeah, same plane basically, just with some different armaments. I don't know if this actually gets. You do get the rockets on this one, but you don't. So you do get some of the same weaponry, but you don't get the rocket pod. What about the... No, you don't get the rocket pod on that one. Okay, now comes the exciting part for me. This is what I'm going to be working towards anyway. Oh yeah, the Valtor, the SO4050 bomber. Look at this thing. It is beautiful. Oh boy. Oh, I'm so excited about this plane. No guns, so there's no offensive armaments on this thing. It is a bit goofy on the ground with its wheels down. You've got your pilot and your bomber, but just look at this thing. It's an absolute beast. This thing is super fast, as you can see, 682 miles per hour. This thing is almost to supersonic. Well, sound barrier is what's the sound barrier in miles per hour? It's about 762. So you're about 80 miles per hour short of the speed of sound in this plane. So it is very fast. This is probably going to be the fastest bomber. Let's just check quickly. Canberra. Yeah, much faster than the Canberra. B-57, yeah, much faster than that. And Russians, much faster than the IL-28, of course, and the Tu-14. So this, I wonder if it's, what about the RUs, because they're relatively the R2s, yeah, good 140 odd miles per hour faster than pretty much any bomber in game, which is exciting for me. Yeah, these things are absolutely awesome. They're very cool. And we also get the 2A. Now this one comes with some offensive weapons, and oh my god, this thing is just gorgeous. Just look at this beast. Oh, it is beautiful. Oh, it is beautiful. So you got quad 30mm cannons on this thing, all in the nose as well. You don't have your bomber. Obviously, the guns are in place of the bombardier, but this thing is an absolute beast. Again, it is bloody fast. A lot of planes are going to have a hard time catching up with this. And just look at the payloads you can get. So, the heaviest bombs we can pop on there are the 1,000-pounders. So, 6 1,000-pound bombs. So, this has got the highest payload of any bomber in the jet tiers now. I think. Or if not the heaviest, one of the heaviest. But you also get an awful lot of different rocket variations as well. You get the 24 rockets on board. And you also get the rocket pods as well. So you get the SNEB Type 23 rocket pods. So 76 rockets on board. Holy cow. As well as a couple of bombs. 6 750-pound bombs on board as well. Yeah, this thing is going to be an absolute monster. Especially when ground forces are involved. This thing is going to be an absolute weapon. As you see, you've got the 2 mounting points on the wings for bombs. There's also the bomb section in here. But this is the thing that I'm looking forward to most for French aviation. Anyway, we've still got one plane to look at, and that's the SO-8000 Naval. Interesting plane, pusher configuration with the contra-rotating blades. It almost looks like a jet. It looks like a vampire. It's an interesting little plane, a Navy plane as well. So it is aircraft carrier, designed for aircraft carriers, things like that. So let's have a little look at the modifications. So you get some rocket options on here. So 8 rockets on board. So some nice rockets on there, and you've also got your 20mm guns with some relatively good penetration values as well. I believe all the guns are in the front as well. So as you see here, again, all the guns are front mounted. So front on this is going to be an absolute monster. Armour all across the front as well. The engine being at the back means that front on this thing is going to be an absolute weapon. Let's take it for a test flight. So we'll take it for a quick test run and see how it goes. Oh boy, that sounds awesome. Nice cockpit. Just having a bit of a look around here. Very pretty cockpit, actually. As you can see, in sim this thing is going to be quite good as well, because it has got fantastic view area, and it also has a ejector seat as well, interestingly enough. New pilot model, I think, possibly. Anyway, enough of that. Sounds a bit like a tractor. No air brakes. Take off for flaps. Just rev it up and go. So the engine is fully going. Oh, fucked our tail up there. Much like the Vampire, don't go up too fast in this thing. Raise the gear, raise the flaps. So I can't remember if this is a turbine. I think it is a... I think it's a straight engine. I'll have to have a look at that because I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. No, it's not a turbine, is it? Because is it? It has got the air intakes. No, I'm trying to think now. Anyway, so this is it. It's not super fast. It's not super fast. It's relatively manoeuvrable. You've got some good movement in there. The main thing for this is going to be the gun. You're not going to be looking at turning fights in this. You're going to want to climb and get into a boom and zoom position. Your main advantage is going to be front-on attacks, of course. No. Don't think we've got any enemy trucks around here, so let's go back to the base and launch a couple of bullets off into the friendly ground forces over there. But the main thing is this is just a beautiful looking plane. Ah, there it is. There's the enemy vehicle. Went blind there for a second, so let's just get some altitude again. Does sound very much like a lawnmower or a tractor though. Let's hop to the cockpit view. Fire off a couple of salvos. Very good rate of fire on the guns. Yeah, all in all, pretty good plane. No idea how many bullets I've got left, actually, because I haven't got... Trying to find the ammunition count. Ah, there we go. We've finally got the ammunition coming up. So yeah, very good rate of fire on this thing, and a lot of munitions as well, which is always handy. No air brakes, unfortunately. As I said, this is a naval variant, but I don't see any arrestor hooks on it. So don't know how well you'll go landing on a plane. Not a plane. Well, if you land on a plane, doing very well. Aircraft carrier, that's the word I'm looking for. Put our gear down. Let's come in for a terrible landing here. Super fast landing. Pretty easy plane to fly, actually, all in all. And we'll just drift off over here into the bushland. Fly off this hill. Eventually the brakes will work. And there we go. We'll stop. There we go. So yeah, quite an interesting little plane actually. It's not going to be OP because at turning you are going to be able to out-turn it pretty well, in all honesty. But an interesting vehicle nonetheless. And I'm just going to have a look at that engine. yeah, it's just a standard engine. I thought so. You have got a big turbocharger on there, massive Gert turbo on there, which is always handy. Fuel tanks are located just behind there, so again, you're not going to have too much issue with fire. This thing is going to be pretty deadly head-on, as I say. So it will be quite interesting in that respect. So, bit of a longer video, but that is that. That is everything on the test server. That's all the vehicles, all the tanks, all the stuff to look at, and yeah, let's see if we can place that order for the Italian tank, just to see how much it is actually out of interest. Don't think it's up yet. No, it's not up yet. That's a shame. So no idea how much that's going to be, but we will find out, I'm sure. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you're up to, blah, blah, blah. And I will get back to you all very soon. I'll pop a video up very shortly on some different things. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.